Hello my dear students, welcome to your Geography's online class. Today in this class we will be discussing about the plains as a topic related to your chapter Endogenous Processes and Associated Landforms. In this class we will discuss about the plains, what they are, the different types of plains and how plains affect human settlements. So first of all, let's discuss what is a plain. When we define a plain, we write it as an extensive flatlands or a low-lying region. That means the plains are almost flat land surface and has very low elevation from the sea level. So that is what we call plains. The plains are being divided into various types. In major groups, we find there are three different types of plains: erosional plains, structural plains and depositional plains. So now let us also discuss about these different types of plains. So three different types of plains: structural plains, erosional plains and depositional plains. Each of these plains has their own mode of formation. They are formed in different manners. So in first case, if we consider structural plains or if we say structural plains, its formation mostly is affected because of tectonic movements. In most cases, what happens is the land near the coastal areas remains submerged under water for a longer time period. But within a geological era, due to some tectonic movements, the land that remains under the water, it gets uplifted and comes out of the water, which forms an extended part of the coastal areas. So hence, structural plains is also known as coastal plains. In this two diagram, if we see or try to understand through this diagram the formation of structural plain, we see in first diagram the land that glides towards the water bodies or that slopes towards the water bodies gently is known as continental shelf. This part of the land is known as continental shelf. Which also forms the part of coastal region. This continental shelf, due to some tectonic movements, gets uplifted and comes out of the water, forming the extended part of the coastal areas. So this type of plains or these region that comes out of the water, which were once a part of continental shelf, that comes out of the water is known as structural plains. So such plains are known as structural plains, with a very good example that we can see is of the Great Plains of United States or the Russian platform. They are formed because of certain upliftment. Now we come to the next part of the plains, that is erosional plains. As the term implies erosion, it can be defined as a plain that has been formed due to the erosional activities of the agents of weathering and erosion. So when we talk about the agents of erosion, we find water, wind, glacier. While they move, their force removes the top layer of the soil. And after the removal, whatever remains back, it forms a vast lands those are known as erosional plains. Erosional plains are of various types. Let's try to understand them. The first of the erosional plain that we will discuss is peneplains. Peneplains, when we define it, we say it as almost a plane-like structure, not exactly a plane, but almost a plane-like structure. So then how is this peneplains formed? The elevated land surface on this earth surface undergoes various changes, and one of it is mostly because of erosive action of the agents of erosion. So this erosive action causes the elevated land surface to lower in its height. The elevation of such lands, they start lowering down because of erosive action been acted upon. But at certain case, it is found that the structure that is undergoing in erosive activities has a hard structure underlying it, which cannot be very easily eroded. So an undulating surface that almost looks like a plane structure that forms thereafter is known as peneplains. The second erosive plains that we will discuss is karst plain, or we also call it karst topography. Whenever we discuss about karst plain or karst topography, we always discuss about the limestone region. Limestone is vulnerable to chemical reaction, which is mostly caused by the water that flows in these regions. So water acts upon these limestone region and causes an excessive erosion, and later to form the plains and is known as karst plain. This type of plain which is formed is also known as karst topography and is very much prevalent in the areas of Yugoslavia of karst region. The third type of erosional plain that we discuss is glacial plain. As the term itself implies, glacial, it is an erosive action of glacier, which erodes the higher elevated land surfaces and later turns into flat extensive lands. Such lands or plains that have been formed because of erosive action caused by glaciers is what we call glacial plain. Glacial plains are mostly found in the higher latitudinal regions, which remains almost snow covered. As glacier is a moving ice, so it's here the action of the ice that causes erosive action. The last one to discuss of the erosional plains is the desert plain. Deserts are an extensive land which are mostly covered by sands. They are dry and are mostly formed of loose material, that is sand. And these sands are very easy to be carried by the wind. So in deserts we see an impactful action of the wind erosion causing to form the plains known as desert plains. We have plains in India of desertic type, that is Rajasthan, to what is we call Thar desert. There is all the Saharan deserts, they are mostly vast lands and are formed because of wind erosion. Now we discuss about the depositional plains. Now as we see that erosive action of wind, water and glacier is so predominant on this earth surface, the eroded materials are also transported from one place to another or carried from one place to another. So those carried materials or transported materials are deposited in elsewhere region on the earth surface, resulting to the formation of depositional plains. So they are an action of depositions made by the agents of erosion and weathering. So let's discuss the plains and of different types. The first one to be discussed as depositional plain is the alluvial plain. Alluvial plain is formed due to the depositions made by the rivers. The rivers that carry sediments are very fertile in nature. They are very finer materials to what is we call alluvium. And these rivers, while flowing through the higher altitudinal regions, erodes the landforms. While coming to the low-lying areas, they have much deposits as because the velocity of the river decreases. So with the decrease in the velocity of the river, the sediments carried by it are deposited on its bank, thereby forming a plain to what is we call alluvial plain. Alluvial plains are formed as a part of floodplains or floodplains are also a part of alluvial plains we see, as they are mostly been formed during the floods. And at the mouth of the river or at the point where the river ends, even in those areas alluvial plains are formed, but there it is known as deltaic plain, as because of the alluvium deposits are made in triangulated shape, with the rivers being channeled out in various ways. The deposits are made mostly in triangulated shape, resulting to the formation of delta. Hence, to such alluvial type we call it deltaic plain. Drift plains. Drift plains are formed as a result of depositional action by the glacier. The glacier makes deposits at the bed of the glacial flow or at the lateral surface or towards its end. The glacial deposits that have been made are known as moraines, and these moraines are deposited either on the side of the glaciers, or that is the bank of the glacial flow, and is known as lateral moraines. While if it is made a deposits at the base of the glacier, or you can say the bed of the glacier, it is known as till plains. Well, sometimes the glacier and water both act together, as with increasing temperature the glacier melts, so that results in the formation of water flow. So both glacier and water that acts together is known as glaciofluvial action, which results in the formation of outwash plains. Outwash plains as of when the glacier that carries sediments in compact nature, with its melting, those sediments that were carried by the glaciers are completely washed out by the waters that flows thereafter because of glacier melt. Hence, they are known as outwash plains. Lacustrine plains, the third type of depositional plains, is formed at the base of a lake. Usually, a lake is a low-lying region where the water channels in or it comes out of it. So, the river flowing into a basin or a depressional basin results in the depositions to be made at the base of that basin. And as time passes by, when the water completely evaporates out of that basin or it's completely washed out, the sediments that are formed at that basin results in the formation of plains to what is we call lacustrine plain. Lacustrine plain also results in the formation of a newer lake when the water gets deposited at its depth or low-lying regions. Lowest plain is an action of wind deposits. In the desertic areas where wind becomes very active in eroding the materials, these very sediments that the wind carries along with it from these desertic areas are deposited wherever they find obstruction, or when the wind is obstructed, at the base of such obstructions, the finer materials of sandy deposits are made to what is called lowest plains. As we can find lowest plain very much been deposited in the areas of China. There are vast plains of lowest deposits. The fifth one of the depositional plain is the coastal plains. The coastal plains are mostly formed in the low-lying region where the land and water is separated. So, in those areas, the coastal regions we see, there are much more deposits of the oceanic waters and also of the riverine sediments. So, they result in the formation of coastal plains because of deposits made by the ocean, seas, or even by the rivers. The last one to be discussed as of depositional plain is the lava plain. As the name itself suggests, lava is an extrusion that is made out of a volcano. The hot molten magma that comes out of the volcano's extrusion is what we call lava, and when they are spread out in an extensive lands and much flat is known as lava plains. When we talk about or discuss about the importance of plains, then we very easily can term it as cradle of civilization. The reason why we call it cradle of civilization is because the major part of world population dwells in the plain areas. There are various importance of these plains that why people have been so attracted to settle here. Let's discuss them in details. The first point to discuss as a part of importance is agriculture. Plains, they always facilitate in the growth of agricultural crops as because of lots of deposits of sediments which are very fertile in nature are made in the plains, which allows a huge production of crops. And the world population itself, if we see, more than 60% of them are dependent on agricultural activities or primary activities. And that is where plain allows the benefit of enjoying doing the primary activities, and one of it is agriculture. The second importance of plains is transport. The vast land always helps in easy laying of transport facilities, either you call it a train or roads. Constructions of roads and laying of railway tracks does not become much a problem in the plain areas. So transportation is very well connected in the plains. Both agriculture and transport attracts a lot of population in this region. The third point to discuss as an importance of plains is industries. With the growth of primary activities and a very well connected transportation system, industries and setting up of factories becomes inevitable. They get a lot of facilities to set up an industrial plant in the plain areas, as also the flat land offers opportunities for these industries to be set up, as opposed to that of mountainous regions or plateau regions where the lands are quite undulating and there is no such huge area to set up an industry. Plain offers an ideal condition for such industries to be set up. Now the last one of to be discussed is urbanization. Now where we see that agriculture is so beneficial in plains, transportation system is very well connected, industries are well set up and well constructed in the plains, urbanization automatically originates. When we say urbanization, we mean a large population concentrated in one particular region, and industries offers a lot of opportunities for employment, and these employment opportunities that the industries provide attracts population to reside within the plain regions, hence leading to urban centers or urban growth. So because of all these factors, we see population is mostly attracted towards the plain areas. In fact, we can say more than 60% of world population resides in plain areas. So this is all about the class. Thank you, and you all have a good time.